Hello, my name is Naveed. Thank you so much for coming here on the Evolution podcast, which is a melting point for ideas and the latest in the tech trends. And our topic for today will be digitizing legacy industries with new technologies. So I'd like to start off very simply. What does it mean to digitize legacy industries with new and innovative technologies? Arnaud, can you help us out with that?
Sure. So, very thank you for having us. I'm Arnaud, the founder of TripTax. So, what we mean by this is how we can take an industry that hasn't moved for the past 30 years with very little innovations, and how do we bring the tech, which is the best of the tech which is done today, into transforming this industry and disrupting it in order to make it much more efficient for all stakeholders.
Okay.
This is a bit what we're doing.
Okay, lovely. And so moving on, what is TripTax? Like, you
Sure.
obviously started this company. This is your, I would say, your baby essentially. So explain to us how you came up with the idea and what is TripTax?
Sure. So TripTax, like the name is suggesting, it's about trip and tax. So trip and tax is tourist tax refund. So tourist tax refund is this type of legacy industry that has been there for more than 30 years. And this is the typical, I would say, industry that needs disruption. So today how it works is that it's generally aimed for luxury stores. And when you go travel overseas, you have to find a store who's doing that. Then you say, hey, I'm a tourist, you give your passport. And after that, you have to fill a lot of paperwork, the store fill a lot of paperwork, and you get envelopes and a lot of all these papers and spend a lot of time. Then you go at the airport, you queue even more over there, you have to take your goods, show your goods. Then after you get a stamp on your paper, and again, you pass the border and you queue again to get mom to get some money back. So it's a terrible experience. So what is TripTax doing is completely changing everything about this industry. First of all, we work on the store partnership less model, meaning that we don't partner with the stores. Up to today, you don't have choice. If you're a tourist, you have to use the solution in the store. With our solution, which is a digital solution, we have direct contact with government, and it means that you can use TripTax from your mobile phone, either an app or directly online, at any store across the country. Then you don't have to do any paperwork. So when you go in the store, you can purchase whatever you want without any minimum purchase. That's why we don't do luxury shopping. We do everything. And you just take a picture of the invoice, then you take a selfie, and that's basically it. Once you're ready to go back home, you press a button, and everything is generated automatically. And you just have to scan your phone at your point of exit. And once you're back home, you get refunded instantly and an average up to 50% more with the competition. So it's really a way to completely change who is the target, because now we support every store, in luxuries, and to make the power back into the hands of the users to make it very great. So why did I do that? Before starting TripTax, I was working in a big French retail company. I was in charge of developing all the commercial and franchise activities, meaning that our own stores were doing tourist acquisition for our clients. And we grew quite a bit to more than 12 countries. And when I was traveling a bit, a lot, you always have to get some gift for friends and family when you're back in your home, otherwise you're the most sleepy people. So they say, hey, why are you traveling? Never bring me back anything. So of course, I was doing this, and during doing this, you're always trying to save a little bit of money. So you're trying to do your tourist tax refund. And the experience was terrible. The experience was terrible across the board, is the one I mentioned earlier. And I say, why is it the case? And after digging a little bit, it's because there's only two companies that are being 93% of the market, so they have no incentive to innovate. That's how TripTax was born, and bringing all those new technologies to make everything smooth, automated, and rewarding for everyone in this industry.
Yeah, no, because that's what I was going to ask you. Because generally, the tourist tax refund industry is very difficult because most people that are in it already have a monopoly on it. They're not very keen on having other people coming in. So, seeing as there was so much competition, despite all of that, what was the main factor behind you wanting to delve into this industry? Because most people, when they look at it, they'll be like, okay, these people have a monopoly, and trying to tap into an industry like this, there's nothing but just heartache getting into it because these people are going to give a lot of pushback. But despite that, you still went in head on into this industry.
That's correct. So first of all, you need some government support there. Is that, like you mentioned, it's a monopoly, meaning that those companies, they have been doing whatever they want for the past 30 years, and governments, they're getting a little bit tired of that, because it's mean they impose their own system to the government and they say, oh, this is the way it works. With TripTax, we work hand in hand with government, and we actually being super transparent and trying for them to reduce the fraud, reduce the cost, and we bring all type of tools, I would say, to make it much easier for government to operate. The second part is the main reason why government they launched tourist tax reform is that they want to help retailers local in the country, because a tourist that knows he's going to get his tax back will spend much more money. But right now, only luxury stores are actually profiting from this, and most of the time, the luxury stores, they are not even companies that are originate from the country. So the value proposition for TripTax with the government say, hey, it's for every store, even the smallest store available, as long as they are doing their VAT, which is mandatory in most of the countries, then they will be supported. So we of course compete with the big guys, but we only overlap on a very small percentage, which is the luxury shopping, where of course you can use TripTax in luxury stores. But the rest of the store, which is more than 85% of the market, nobody is doing tax refund there. So we support all the smaller merchants, or merchants who are not categorized in luxury. Good example being one of our best selling store today for tax refund is Decathlon. You know, because they are not luxury stores, of course, we don't have to tax refund. But tons of people, they love to go there. And when they go overseas, they say, hey, I'm going to buy my skiing I'm going to buy a snowboard, I'm going to buy my golf set, because it's going to be already very attractively priced. Plus with the tourist tax refund, it's definitely a bargain compared to what you would pay originally. So that's the philosophy behind it.
And what is your long-term vision for the brand? Because I know that TripTax is integrating into a lot more, because you have Trip World, you have Trip Booking, you have different things that are like in the ecosystem of TripTax. So what is your long-term goal for the brand? So
right now is really to focus on TripTax, but to actually push one step further. So what I mean by pushing one step further is mentioned earlier about, of course, offering this solution for government existing schemes, but the one step further would be to continue our consultation that we're already doing with government to actually upgrade and launch new tourist tax refund system. So we're trying actually to reach out now with Saudi government to launch a system for Saudi. Last week, a great announcement from the UK with also willingness from the government to relaunch a tourist tax refund system by 2024. So definitely there we want to be involved and to consult with the government instead of adapting always to the current system which has been built by the competition, trying to have a system which is much more fair from the very beginning. So this is the first long-term part, being very influencer on the tourist tax refund of tomorrow. And the second part is, I mentioned earlier, we are partnership-less. We work with stores. However, what we do is that we do work with all companies related to travelers, even if it's a bit far. Let's give an example. We're working with airlines, we're working with booking companies, with travel agencies, with transportation company, with fintech company, and we're actually offering TripTax direct to consumer, like I explained, but more importantly, we are the first in the industry to offer a white label solution. So for those companies, we directly offer this service into their ecosystem for their travelers. So it's with their own brand, with their own colors, and it's an extension of this. Today, there's more and more, I would say, companies that are trying to increase the number of services that they can offer to their customers, and this is perfectly where we're fitting. Quick example, when you look at TripAdvisor, they're starting purely as advising and rating for this, but now they're doing hotels, they're doing data, they're doing activities, and TripTax, for example, would be a great offering for them. The extra services that you can offer. This is very unique today on the market.
Okay, understood. So I'm going to ask him this because I feel bad that he's sitting on the side. So seeing as your brand had started off in 2019, which right before COVID had hit off, how did COVID impact your business? Because obviously tourism almost essentially died out during COVID. countries were going into lockdown. No one was able to travel. How did you guys cope with the restrictions that were imposed?
Well, there's usually two components of this. I'm going to let Arnaud start off with the impact on the business level, and then I will then add on from a commercial perspective.
Sure. So the impact on the business level was full, meaning that no money. Money coming if you don't travel, you don't make money. So definitely that was, I would say, a bit bad timing for us, meaning that we actually had ready with our first prototype literally a month before the COVID lockdown. So it definitely was very bad timing in that man. However, actually, this COVID period was a great opportunity for us overall.
Really?
And let Tim explain
So the way we see, yes, it's a pretty significant impact on the business as a whole. But the silver lining of this is that because of the fact that there was no travel demand, companies found more time to basically relook into their business strategies and try to basically prioritize whether or not there's other areas of ancillary revenue that could be looking at. So this opens the door for us to essentially find a free time to talk to travel companies, be it in a mobile payment world, or be it as a travel agency or OTA, gives their project teams a little bit more time to look into this new collaboration that we can offer into the ecosystem. So we like to look on the positives. Yes, opportunities were not limited because there was no travel, but at the same time, it allowed us to basically cater to a B2B model and then offer that directly to our partners, to their consumers directly.
Okay. So essentially, COVID was kind of a blessing for you guys.
So during the COVID, if I'm correct, Tim, you tell me if I'm not correct, but I think we signed close to 80 partners.
Wow.
So during the COVID, so that was the very great commercially speaking, because people who didn't have time for us before planning time on hand. So this is definitely a great thing. And the second part of the COVID blessing is that we have been able to really do a lot of recruitment and create a great team, which I think we can discuss in a while, and actually make the product so much better than it was initially. Normally, when you're starting a startup, you're always trying to get your product out as soon as possible because you want to have more feedback from your consumers. By being on time just before the lockdown, then so instead of rushing the launch of the product, then we had actually plenty of time to talk with the travelers and all our potential customers. Okay, this is what we built. Is it exactly what you wanted? This is how you imagine it? And what are your feedbacks and your comments? And so we have been able to, I wouldn't say overall, but make quite a bit of changes and to make the product the great product it is today. This is thanks to, I would say, COVID allowing us to put the time for that.
That's lovely. And so as I was looking into the app, the way people do it is like they upload their personal information, they will upload the pictures onto the app, and then through that, because it is based on tourism, they will upload their passport details as well. So seeing as customers need to upload such sensitive personal information onto the app, what steps have you taken to ensure that your customers' private information is secure and protected? Because nowadays, as you've seen with Google having leaks, Facebook's having leaks, people are a lot more hesitant. People are very concerned about their personal information. So what steps have you taken?
For us, I think we take data privacy very seriously. So I think one of the core criteria for the technological partners that we work with essentially is that they have to be, of course, reputable and established. So in most cases, most of our storage relies on AWS.
Okay.
So that's one component of it. Internally, we also structured the way we protect data to be compliant based on guidelines from a PDPA or GDPR, because we operate both in Singapore as well as in France. So with that, we tend to stick to guidelines to how data should be managed and protected. An example of this being that even internally within the company, not everybody within the company has access to basically all the data, only what is necessary. So this is just one of the small examples as to how we definitely do not try to share information internally within the company. So yeah, I'm pretty sure I think on this level, we're doing a really good job so far based on data privacy.
Okay, and so as you mentioned, like you follow that PDP rules in Singapore, so whatever country you would venture out to, you have to abide by that country's, I guess, personal data protection acts, correct?
Correct. So for us, because the data privacy portion covers consumers, so for us, our app is used by users all over the world. So in whichever country that they are coming from, typically we will try to always be aware the data privacy policy covers in the country that we host the data in.
And then you will work with the government, because as you guys have mentioned, you do work with governments like quite closely with them. So you work closely with, let's say you're expanding out into the UK. So you would work with the British government to make sure that your app is abiding by all of the laws. And then do you have like a checking system that you do with them, or it's just you've been given the...
I'll tell you this one. So of course, for this type of business, licenses are required by the government, and there is a very long and painful process as well. So not many companies want to go there and get this licensing, and those includes audit always from the government. So we have, of course, external audits regarding the company, but we also have audits by the government to actually explore all those topics. How do we handle the data? How do we handle the flow? How do we make sure that there's no fraud? How do we handle all the communication with the government servers? Because all this is not, I would say, a service which is completely outside, but it's purely integrated using government systems, and we exchange a lot of information with the government. So definitely there's it's a very strong process that needs to be followed. A lot of safeguards are put in place. That's why there's around 10 companies in the world doing this.
Okay.
Definitely quite heavy, but worth it, because you want to make sure that there's no gap and there's no security risk going there.
Okay, and do you guys have an internal team that deals with the data security, or do you? Okay, so you have an internal team.
So today everything is internal.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay, so that means you are completely in control of the data, because there are certain concerns people have, or like, oh, is this company outsourcing my data to someone else?
No, everything is kept internal, and like Tim mentioned, even the data itself is compartmented. It depends on who needs to access the data, and when there is data which is accessed by somebody, it's also recorded on a blockchain.
Okay. So moving on to the next question is, how are you innovating using blockchain technology to ensure that your security is completely locked tight?
So blockchain has become, in the past few years, a big buzzword. A lot of people do blockchain because it's cool and it's great for investors and this, but there's no real use. For us, we don't do crypto. However, we do blockchain as there is a very strong use case in our situation. I mentioned earlier that we need to work with the governments in order to make it happen. Today, there's a big problem because there's an incentive for the operators, the stores, and the tourists to cheat the government with fake data and fake receipt and fake everything in order to get more money back from the government. So this is terrible, and also what is also, I would say, preventing the government from being a little bit more pushy on this scheme. So with TripTax, this was one of the key, I would say, reason for us for using the blockchain, is that, as you know, the blockchain is some kind of, obviously, Digitalise, a ledger that you cannot modify what's written. You can only add more information and more blocks in order to complete the data. So what's happening is that since day one, so it's not something that we did after, it's something that has been built from the core. We have everything on blockchain in our company, so all the data regarding transaction, the users and the stores, they are on the blockchain, meaning that we give to government direct access to our blockchain audit tools, where when they want to check, for example, a transaction, they can see in one click, and we're the only company in the world doing this, who is the user, where he has been, what has been shopped, and where he's going next, and so forth and so on. So they have the complete audit flow about what's happening with this user. By bringing this transparency, there's several advantages. First of all, we can detect really easily the fraud that's happening, because we immediately see there's something wrong in the process. And secondly, by giving access in advance to the government with this data, we end up with a check rate in the account of goods, which is extremely low compared to the average on the market, because we are fully transparent with the government. There's no way with TripTax that you can fraud. This is really key for us to bring this trust aspect with the government, because we are fully transparent with them.
Okay, understood. And so for dealing with the blockchain technology, have you built out a team internally that has blockchain developers, or are you partnering with other people who are like already a crypto company, have the blockchain technology, have people who developed it out for them?
So we are working with a company called Koala. So it's Artry, the company is Artry, and the blockchain is called Koala. This is not a public blockchain, the one which you see, it's an enterprise blockchain. And this is semi-permission enterprise blockchain, and this is one which is used for banks, big financial institutions, and funders, for example, NSA. Use this type of blockchain. So we're using this enterprise blockchain that we heavily customized on top of it to fit with our needs. So definitely we're using, I would say, one of the best companies in the world to do this kind of thing, and we personalize it our needs to make sure that we have a solution which is custom, scalable, and be efficient at dealing with our needs.
Okay, yeah, because that's what I was gonna ask next. Like, so your blockchain technology you're using is custom made for your needs, correct?
That's correct.
And how did you go? Like, what were the requirements or some of the things that you had in mind when you were going into this? Like, what were the things you were aiming for in terms of like it needs to be airtight and it also needs to be remotely accessible to governments and stuff. So, what was your thought process behind your basic requirements that you need for this blockchain technology?
So we needed something that can be compartmented also because, for example, we do 100 per country per government, and we don't want the government A to be able to access the data of government B. Can you imagine all the issues that you might have in terms of this? So we want to make sure it's compartment. We want to make sure that it's scalable. We don't need something with billion of transactions per second because it's not the case. It's something that can go to a large volume without any problem in transaction. And we wanted something which is what we call gasless. So there's no crypto involved to make a transaction. So it's just recorded in the technology. So there's no fee, there's very strong fees to operate it. Definitely the cost to operate it, but something that is manageable for private entity. And lastly, we wanted, of course, a solution which is already widely known and accepted by government institutions and by banks in order to bring more credibility into what we're building and how we're implementing it. So yeah, today we are definitely the first private company with a fully blockchain and also security on the market.
I mean, that's honestly very impressive. Like the thought process behind it, just being able to use technology because most people don't understand blockchain, right? Most people think of it and their mind straight goes to, it's crypto, it's going to be a scam. And that inherent disconnect that people have, I think it's really impressive how you manage to look at the solution and be like, listen, blockchain is not just crypto. There's vastly more opportunities available for it. So initially when you got in, was your thought always leading towards for your data protection, always leading towards blockchain technology, or did you have other methods to begin with?
Like I said, the core was already always around blockchain. Is this trust? For us, like I said, the most important for us, if we want to grow and to become a market leader in this industry, is to have government to trust us. And the first thing we could do for that to trust us is to be the only company in the market transparent. So, want to bring transparency. Blockchain for us was the only way we could do it because this is the only technology existing today where you simply cannot change the data in the database and then submit whatever you want. So we wanted to have this, hey, from day one we are fully transparent with you, so now let's trust us a little bit on proposing this, I would say, evolution into a stack reform of tomorrow. And so the first point is second part is scalability. That need to be scalable. So it's something that will work in one country and not in another. So we need something that we got.
So, and seeing as you are a growing company, what are the recruitment tactics that you guys are using to build out and expand the team?
So I would say that because of COVID, we're always trying to, I would say, expand the team and develop. Being a Singapore-based company, we always, of course, try to build as much as we can Singapore and recruit as much as we can. But during COVID, everything got, I would say, shut and stuck. So we had no other choice to look everywhere. And what our strategy is now is actually looking at where the talents are. And so we have team now in we have team now in 8 different countries. So it's all about finding the right talent and the right people. So the way that we look at it, it's always trying to first get I would say this right state of mind. And so we always start with logic tests, not based on the math or whatever, but logic tests to really understand, okay, can you think outside of the box? Can you solve the problem? And from there, after we're past this, then we're moving towards the specific tests depending on the recruitment board.
Okay.
That's what we are doing. So being working on means are specific different.
And when you are doing like going out and recruiting people, so for specifically, I remember talking to Tim about this. So you guys are looking to like expand out the team because you relatively since 2019, you guys have been you were incepted in 2019, and you are looking to expand out. So when you're looking for people to come on board, what would you say is like makes the ideal candidate for you? What are the requirements that they need to have?
I think the first thing to note is that the pace and tempo in startup is actually extremely fast.
Mm-hmm.
So for us, we usually look at more soft skills as an entry requirement. So this includes being adaptable, having a passion for the role. I think these two allows them to be able to put in the required work necessary to achieve their goals. We try to look for people who are not afraid to really roll their sleeves, to get their hands dirty. And I think in a nutshell, we basically choose to work with people who really love the product. We try to, in a startup, we try to cultivate more family-like nucleus around the core team, so that working closely together, because there's a lot of collaborations happening on a daily basis. It makes it doesn't feel that much work, but more towards like a group of passionate individuals working together to do the product, to bring the product to the next level. So that essentially is what we try to achieve for the initial, or at least the initial trends that we look at.
And what is next for TripTax? Where do you see, because obviously we talked about the long-term vision, but looking at it more on a short-term scale, what is the next few steps for you guys?
So definitely to get more licensing in some countries. So we are looking right now at, we've been discussing for a while with the Singapore government to get a license in Singapore. That also triggers a lot of great partnerships with, for example, national airlines. It's quite nice. We're looking also in Asia to expand in Korea, in Japan, and Indonesia. We are looking now actually to expand in Europe. So right now we are in France, also with Belgium, with Spain, and with UK now just coming on the table. And finally we are looking at the Middle East short term with Saudi Arabia and Dubai that are really exciting for us. So this is, we'll say, more short term. We expect to have all this, we'll say, up and running in sometime next year. So we're really trying hard to push on this part. And that's the license part, and the second part, of course, is to keep signing, I would say, great deal with corporate companies and getting the credit card programs, to get into the airlines programs, to get into the OTAs offerings. So it's definitely the big step for us.
And when you are looking to expand out into new places, do you generally target countries that are more like tourist hotspot? For example, you mentioned Dubai. Dubai is a huge tourist hotspot. So is that your strategy when you're looking to expand down to different countries? So you primarily target places that are tourist hotspots, or are you open to any country? Well, like for example, you could target a country like, for example, Luxembourg, which is not traditionally a very touristy place, but people do go there on vacation. People do want to see, because everyone wants to explore a new place.
So we look at several aspects. So of course we look at the volume in terms of tourism. We're going to look at the VAT rate, because of course if you have low volume and little VAT rate, then it might not be worth it, because also people might not want to do it, because hey, there's only 3% VAT, maybe I don't want to bother for that. And we're also looking at what type of access and philosophies the government regarding this. Because being, like I mentioned, the monopoly, there are several countries that have been also monopolized in terms of certain companies having direct government contracts and operating for the government, not leaving any space for new players to come into the market. So we are looking also at the feasibility and how complex it would be to actually enter that market.
Okay, lovely. I think that's all the time we have for today. I just want to again thank you so much for joining us, and hopefully in the future we would love to have you guys come back again, and like whatever topics we have next time, we would love to host you guys again. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And that's all for our podcast for today. Join us next time. Thank you and goodbye.
Bye.